Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Unsolved Mystery Series, Episode 84. And today, we're diving deep, really deep, into a case that's baffled Delhi police, baffled the public, for almost 2 decades now. It's the disappearance of Priya Mehra.
Yeah, this one it's a tough one. It really shows you how complicated these disappearances in a city can be, you know?
Yeah.
You have a young woman just living her life and poof, she's gone.
Just gone. It's 2005. Priya's 24. She's a postgrad student working on her master's in sociology, and she was dedicating time to an NGO as well. So can you paint a picture for us? Who was Priya as a person?
Well, from what investigators put together, it seems Priya wasn't just, someone who was driven, a high achiever, but she was also just a really kind person, empathetic.
Yeah.
Her family, they say she was someone who truly wanted to make a difference. I think that's what makes this whole thing, her disappearance even more unsettling.
Right, because you have this contrast of this bright future, all this potential.
Exactly.
So let's go back to September 18th, 2005. It starts as a normal day for Priya.
Yeah, very routine. Leaves for a seminar at her university about 9 a.m. Her brother actually sees her off at the bus stop.
Okay.
That's the last time anyone in her family sees her.
Wow.
She goes to the seminar, participates, she's active in the discussion, leaves around 4:30 p.m., tells her friend she's going to stop at a market nearby before going home.
Okay, so this market, it seems like that's where things take a turn. That's where the trail kind of goes cold.
Yeah, you got it. Security cameras at the market, they catch her walking on a pretty busy street around 5 p.m. That's the last visual we have of her.
Last visual, 5 p.m.
Uh-huh.
So what happens after that? When do things get really concerning?
She doesn't come home that night, and her family starts calling her, obviously, but no answer.
Right.
By 9 p.m., they're really worried, and they go file a missing person report.
Now, was there anything in Priya's life, relationships, activities, anything that stood out to investigators, any red flags?
That's the thing. Even after all the interviews with friends, classmates, colleagues, nothing. No conflicts, no secret relationships, no weird behavior.
Really? So no clear reason for her to just vanish?
Well, that's what her loved ones say. They were adamant. They said there's no reason she'd just run away. Described her as happy, looking forward to things in her life.
Okay, so if we're ruling out her leaving on her own, we're back at that market. What did investigators find there?
Well, the market became, the center of the investigation. They traced her last location to a taxi stand near the market.
Okay.
But get this, none of the drivers remember seeing her.
Really?
And her phone, it last pinged off a tower near the market, too.
Around what time?
5:15 p.m. Then nothing.
Oh, wow. And they couldn't tell if it was, deliberately turned off? Or...
Nope. No way to know. Just added to the mystery, Investigators searched that whole market, looking for anything, but nothing solid turned up.
So, no physical evidence, her personal life seemingly normal. Must have been difficult for investigators to even know where to start. Were there any witnesses? Anyone who saw something?
A couple leads, but really vague, you know. One shopkeeper said he saw her arguing with some guy, but his description was so general. And then another person thought they saw a woman who looked like Priya get into a white car, a sedan. But again, never found the car, couldn't identify it.
So these glimpses, possible encounters, but nothing you can really grab onto. I imagine with all this missing information, investigators had to consider a lot of different scenarios.
You're telling me. With so many unknowns, they had to look at every possibility.
So let's get into those theories then. What were the main scenarios they considered?
You gotta think. Abduction, that was a big one, right? A young woman, busy market, someone could have snatched her and no one would noticed.
Yeah, especially with that shopkeeper saying he saw her arguing with a man. But his description, like you said, it wasn't helpful.
Exactly. Way too vague. Plus, no one ever contacted the family. No ransom, no messages, nothing. Makes you wonder.
Yeah. So if it was an abduction, is it possible she just decided to disappear?
They looked into that, of course. Voluntary disappearance, Thought maybe there was something hidden in her life, some pressure she wasn't telling anyone about.
But her friends and family were pretty firm on that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. They kept saying she was happy, involved in her studies, her work. No reason to just run off.
Okay. Which brings us back to the market. So not a runaway, no clear evidence of abduction. Could she have been, I don't know, the victim of some random crime?
It's possible. They thought about that too. Maybe she ran into the wrong person. Robbery gone wrong, something like that.
But wouldn't a crowded market make that difficult? How do you commit a violent crime and just disappear in a place like that?
That's the thing. It's unlikely. Logically, someone would have seen something. But you never know. Maybe witnesses missed something, or a person who did it was really quick, knew how to blend in.
I guess that's true. So we have abduction, we have her running away, and the possibility of a random crime, all with their own, like, arguments for and against. Anything else investigators considered?
One more thing. It comes up a lot in cases like this, especially in a big city. Organized crime.
You think she could have been targeted by, like, a trafficking ring?
It's not out of the question, unfortunately. Priya's profile, young woman, on her own, it fits the pattern they see in some of these cases.
Is there anything that connects Priya's disappearance to organized crime specifically?
Sadly, no. Just like the other theories, nothing concrete. They really dug into it, but it's all speculation.
So 4 main theories, each with its own pros and cons, but no real proof for any of them. Must be frustrating for everyone involved, you know?
Totally. That lack of closure, it eats at you. Priya's family, they're left with this hole that can't be filled. They keep asking themselves, was she taken? Did she leave? Will they ever find out?
It's just awful. And it makes you think, about how complicated missing person cases can be, especially in a city like Delhi.
Oh, for sure. The sheer number of people, everyone going about their day, it's easy to get lost in the crowd, makes it incredibly difficult to investigate.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but worse. It really makes you think about, like, how easily someone could just disappear in a city like that, and how much harder that makes it for the police, for anyone trying to find them.
It's true. A city that size, always moving, so many people. It creates like a whole different set of challenges for law enforcement when someone goes missing. And for Priya's case, it seems like, well, those challenges were just too much, at least for now.
And you think about her family, almost 20 years without answers, without knowing what happened to their daughter, their sister. That must be incredibly tough.
It's unimaginable, really. That constant not knowing, always wondering. It's a burden. And it just shows you the impact these cases have, not just on the person who's missing, but on everyone around them, families, friends, the whole community.
Yeah, it's a good reminder, I think, to appreciate the people in our lives. You really never know what might happen.
Absolutely. And it also makes you think about safety, being vigilant, not just for yourself, but for others too. Paying attention to your surroundings, looking out for each other.
Speaking of looking out for each other, is there anything people can still do to help in a case like Priya's, even after all these years?
Oh, absolutely. Even with cold cases, sometimes one little detail can change everything. Maybe someone saw something they didn't think was important at the time. Something small that could actually be a big piece of the puzzle.
So to our listeners out there, if you know anything at all about Priya Mehra's case, please don't hesitate. Contact the authorities, reach out to her family, share what you know. You might be the one to finally bring some peace to a family that's been hurting for far too long.
You never know. Even after all this time, the truth can still come out. Sometimes hope is all you've got to hold on to.
Well said. And thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the disappearance of Priya Mehra. It's a truly perplexing case, and we hope this episode has given you a better understanding of the complexities of these situations, the human cost, and the importance of staying vigilant and hopeful. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle for more explorations into India's most baffling mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.